My study, as of late, has, for once, been somewhat consistent and concentrated within the books of Samuel. Thank you. And I believe, if the Lord will, that will be where I will read out of. Samuel, of course, is one of the Old Testament prophets. And he comes up after Eli. And some of the context, Eli was a great prophet, but Eli's sons did not take after their father. They turned to all sorts of evil, terrible things, and part of that blame is, of course, due to them, and part of it is due to Eli. Mm-hmm. And God brings judgment upon both.
Amen.
I don't believe I'm going to read from there, but I want to make sure to get some of the context. Of course, all of the context is the rest of the book. I don't quite have time for that. I believe I'll start in 1 Samuel chapter 4, verse 1. 1 Samuel 4:1. And the word of Samuel came to all Israel. Now Israel went out against the Philistines to battle, and pitched beside Ebenezer, Ebenezer, and the Philistines pitched in Aphek. And the Philistines put themselves in array against Israel. And when they joined battle, Israel was smitten before the Philistines. And they slew of the army in the field about 4,000 men. And when the people were come into the camp, the elders of Israel said, Wherefore hath the Lord smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us fetch the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of Shiloh unto us, that when it cometh among us, it may save us out of the hand of our enemies. The ark of the covenant was something that God ordained to be created. He laid out how it was to be made.
Yeah.
But here, the Israelites attribute to it the power of God.
Amen.
All that the Ark of the Covenant was a tool through which he worked. As we will see later on, it is due the proper respect for that. But it does not in and of itself hold any kind of power.
Amen.
The Israelites, of course, they recognize, Wherefore hath the Lord smitten us today? Why has God done this? Let's go to this object. Let's go to this physical thing. It will save us. So the people sent to Shiloh, that they might bring from thence the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth between the cherubims. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. And when the ark of the covenant of the Lord come into the camp, all Israel shouted with a great shout, so that the earth rang again. And when the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, What meaneth the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews? And they understood that the ark of the Lord was come into the camp. And the Philistines were afraid, for they said, God is come into the camp. And they said, Woe unto us, for there hath not been such a thing heretofore. Woe unto us! Who shall deliver us out of the hand of these mighty gods? These are the gods that smote the Egyptians with all the plagues in the wilderness. The Philistines do not recognize God correctly. Of course, they say gods, but they do recognize him, and they are afraid. Be strong and quit yourselves like men, O ye Philistines, that ye be not servants unto the Hebrews, as they have been to you. Quit yourselves like men, and fight. And the Philistines fought, and Israel was smitten, and they fled every man into his tent, and there was a very great slaughter, for there fell of Israel 30,000 footmen. Doesn't sound like the Ark of the Covenant did a whole lot of saving there. And the Ark of God was taken, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were slain. Of course, the Philistines here is another example of God taking an evil nation, a nation whose entire existence is centered around mocking God. He takes control of it and uses it to accomplish his judgment on his people.
Amen.
And there ran a man of Benjamin out of the army, and came to Shiloh the same day with his clothes rent, and with earth upon his head. And when he came, lo, Eli sat upon a seat by the wayside watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. And when the man came into the city, and told it, all the city cried out. And when Eli heard the noise of the crying, he said, What meaneth the noise of this tumult? And the man came in hastily, and told Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were dim that he could not see. And the man said unto Eli, I am he that came out of the army, and I fled today out of the army. And he said, What is there done, my son? And the messenger answered and said, Israel is fled before the Philistines, and there hath been also a great slaughter among the people. And thy two sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God is taken. And it came to pass, when he made mention of the ark of God, that he fell from off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck brake, and he died. For he was an old man and heavy, and he had judged Israel 40 years. And there, of course, we see God's judgment upon both Hophni and Phinehas for their sins, and Eli for their sins. One of the things we see made clear in this section is the responsibility of the parent for the behavior of the children.
Amen.
The Lord holds both Hophni and Phinehas, he holds them responsible for their own failures, but he also holds Eli responsible for his part in it as well.
Amen.
Eli failed to raise them up as he ought to have. I think there was something admirable about Eli. If I can find it where it is. 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 8. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time, and he arose and went to Eli, and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go, lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And the Lord came and stood, and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth. And Samuel is a child at this point. And the Lord said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of every one that heareth it shall tingle. In that day I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I begin, I will also make an end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons made themselves vile, and he restrained them not. And therefore I have sworn unto the house of Eli, that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offering forever. Then Samuel lay until the morning, and opened the doors of the house of the Lord, and Samuel feared to shew Eli the vision. Then Eli called Samuel, and said, Samuel, my son. And he answered, Here am I. And he said, What is the thing that the Lord hath said unto thee? I pray thee, hide it not from me. God do so to thee, and more also, if thou hide anything from me of all the things that he said unto thee. And Samuel told him every whit, and hid nothing from them. And he said, It is the Lord. Let it do what seemeth him good. Eli hears of what God is going to do to him. He's going to bring judgment upon him, judgment upon his house. Eli does not attempt to fight it. He does not attempt to flee it. He does not cry out, Why, O Lord? He says, If it be thy will, God. I believe that is all from me.